Is anyone on here? Hi, everybody. We're going to be starting the live sleep workshop in a few minutes. I'm going to hop on here and say hi for anyone who is here. We are going to be starting in a few minutes. I have my 2-year-old here with me. No, I do not advocate such late bedtimes, but she is sick with a fever and slept majority of the day today. So until here, you can come say hi. You want to come say hi? Want to come say hi? Yeah? Yeah. This is my 2-year-old who is finally feeling better. Look, it's you on the computer. She has a fever. And that's why she's up. But normally she wouldn't be up at 9 o'clock. Until then, people, everyone who is here, why don't you tell me what your biggest sleep challenges are and how old your children are, so I can try to address that tonight. She's going to be leaving the room in a few minutes, hopefully going to go to sleep now. And that way I can address that for you. You can either put it in the questions section, or if you see over here, there's a little box where you can actually put a chat box here. You can see, hi, everybody. You can see I'm typing that in there. All right, I'm going to hop back in a few minutes and we will get started. Okay, we're going to start in a few minutes. So far, I do not see anyone who has typed in any questions for me. That's okay. But if you want to just let me know where you are from, or if you want to let me know what your big sleep challenges are that you are experiencing right now, I'm going to get started in a few minutes here. I just know we have a cozier group tonight, but I know a lot of you were planning on coming. So I'm going to give a few more minutes. If anyone just wants, like I said, post your question either here where I typed everybody, hi everybody, or there's a place where you can suggest a topic or suggest a question. You can check that out there. All right, we're going to hop back on again in a few minutes. Just want to say hi again. Here I am. Why don't you first let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me, because in a few minutes I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see what we are all doing over there. So if anyone here could please just type in yes. Batya, I can hear you. Yes, Batya, I can see you. That way we could get started soon. What's going on there? Yeah, that way we can get started soon, okay? So if you could just type that on in there, let me know you can hear me and see me. Then we will start in another few minutes, okay? Anyone, just to let me know you can hear me and see me. Like I said, you can type it in either here in this chat box here where I wrote hi, everybody, or the question. Thank you, Katie. Okay, I needed to know what was going on. You can hear me and see me. Awesome. All right, so let me pull everything up on over here, and in a few minutes we will just get started, okay? Let's see here. You guys will all see my lovely home office tonight because I'm in between offices over here. So, all right, let's pull this up. All right, we're going to start. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to share my screen with you. So you should be able to see what I'm going to show you, my whole presentation here. So let's give this a second. Let's turn this off. And let's turn this off. I'm going to go big over here. And you should be able to right now see my entire screen. Now, I don't want to talk for a half an hour now and none of you be able to see my screen here. So please tell me, Katie, you were champion before to let me know you could see it and hear it. Can you see my entire screen right here in front of you well? Just let me know. If you can hear me still, if you can see the screen, how to get your baby sleeping through the night without leaving him to cry. hosted by me, Batya, with a picture of me. I'm going to hop back. It's going to be funny for a minute when I hop back to the question. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Katie, dear. All right, so let's get started. All right, so we are doing an encore here. I ran this Wednesday night. There is no replay available, and that's why I decided to do another presentation here for all of you. And you will see by the end of this why I am not offering a replay, because really, I really just want to help everyone who's on here. And I'll be telling you about a way that you can actually start getting sleep right away. You be using the exact same method, exact same system that I use with all of my clients that I run through. So we are going to get started over here. Let's just make sure this is going well. Okay, awesome. All right. I am really happy to have you all here tonight. It's about 9:03 p.m. I am Batya Sherizan. And if you don't know me by now, I have been a child sleep expert for over 10 years now. I help tired families teach their children how to get a better night's sleep. And on tonight's webinar, what I'm going to do with you on this sleep workshop is I'm going to teach you the 3 steps to get your baby sleeping through the night, the same 3 steps I use with all of my clients intensely with my higher end coaching services, but how you can use those 3 steps without leaving your baby to cry. Okay, you're going to be able to begin applying these ideas for better sleep immediately. So I'm really excited to help you empower yourself by learning these skills. But before we do that, I want to talk about a few ground rules here. Okay, number 1, take notes if you find it helpful. I'm going to be giving a lot of valuable information here. And, feel free to take notes, ideas that speak to you or various things that we do discuss, because I want to make sure that you are able to jot down ideas that speak to you, okay? Try not to be distracted. Don't be texting, hanging out on Facebook. It's really hard to process new information when you're really not concentrating. Your mind's in a lot of places. So if you want to gain something here tonight, put all of your attention into it. Number 3, stay to the end. All 3 steps we are going to talk about here are important. And if you try to just apply the first one or the second one independently, I have to tell you, you will not understand the full picture or really see results, okay? Ask questions. We have this chat box here. For some reason, during my presentation, I can only see your questions when you put them in the open questions or suggest the topic section, but I'll be hopping back in here like this to look at the chat box. It just looks a little funny, but that's when I see Jenny also telling me she can hear me. Great. Awesome, Jenny. All right, so we'll be happening back and forth when you have questions, so definitely type them there. I will check frequently to see what your questions are so I can address them. And most importantly, don't stress, okay? Your child can learn to sleep by slowly incorporating these ideas we are going to talk about. But before I begin, I want to ask you a question, okay? Why is it that you are here tonight? You're all busy parents. You could be doing so many other tasks, but instead you're here to learn more about your child's sleep. Perhaps, you're feeling exhausted because your baby kept you up last night. Maybe you feel frustrated because your baby can sleep better, but you have no idea how to help him. So if this is you, you are most definitely in the right place. Okay, one of the reasons you might be here tonight is because you might dream of waking up rested, refreshed. This lady is stretching, happy, starting off her morning. You might feel like you're never able to tackle your busy days with a clear head because you're up all night with your baby who refuses to sleep. Or, maybe you don't have evenings to spend with your partner, with your spouse. You might be up trying to calm your crying baby. Because of this, you and your partner don't feel that strong connection anymore. You used to stay up drinking tea, talking, bonding, none of that anymore. Sometimes, you might even feel so exhausted that you don't have the proper energy to concentrate and be productive at work. It might cause your sales to be down. You might feel like you're not working nearly as well as you can and feel like you're stuck in a rut. So if this is you, do not worry. It doesn't have to be like this, my dear, okay? We can definitely teach your baby how to sleep so your life can be better and you can function in this rested, optimal place. We are going to talk about really soon 3 gentle, short-fire ways to help your baby sleep. And once we're doing that, I just want you to imagine how energized you'll feel when you wake up rested and refreshed, ready to tackle your busy day. You can take care of your to-do list, actually cross things off and get things done and accomplished. You won't be scurrying around because you're so tired. Or, just imagine what it would be like if you had uninterrupted time in the evenings to bond with the people you love. You could rebuild that connection with your partner, have that amazing relationship again. You could go on date nights or reconnect with old friends. Just feel like you finally have time to yourself. And you could be productive at work again, focused, with a full night's sleep and a level head for your busy day, which means your numbers will be up again. You might even be on time or early to your meetings. All your creative juices will be flowing. And I have to tell you, even if you're not working in a job per se, we all know being a parent is a full-time job of its own, and you definitely need to be on par and at your best to do that. So I want to just tell you the only way to get from where you are now from where you want to be is to regain control of your sleep and your life, okay? It's not unrealistic at all to have energy, time with the people you love. But in order to do this, you have to work from a solid foundation up. Just like this pyramid here, you have a strong baseline. And as the pyramid grows, it builds upon the next level. When you build a skyscraper, you don't start on the 50th floor or even the 7th floor or even the 1st floor. You first have to build a very strong foundation. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is how to build that strong foundation with your baby's sleep. But before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about my story. A lot of you might already know about me, but I'm going to dig a little bit deeper so you can understand where I am now and kind of where I came from, because a lot of what I say might resonate with your current sleeping situation. Okay, so let's just start with how I came to become this sleep expert and what my story is, all right? Let me take you back to August 2006. I was living in an apartment in Jerusalem with my husband and my baby was 10 months old and we were exhausted, okay? I remember one night, it was 1 a.m. I had spent almost 2 hours trying to get my baby to sleep. I had tried feeding him. He wasn't hungry. I tried holding him. He was too squirmy. I tried taking him for a walk in the middle of the night. Nothing was working. I needed to do something and do something now, okay? How many of you have ever felt like that? Not coping, at that very scary place of needing sleep and needing it now? Jenny, I see you asked a question. We're going to get to that in a minute, okay? So I was so exhausted, wasn't coping. Guess what I did? Anything any sleep-deprived mother would do, right? Desperately look for a distraction. I scooped up my baby, brought him into the messy kitchen that looked like a tornado had hit. There was spaghetti strewn all over the counters, pots and pans left over from last night's dinner. It was a mess because, my goodness, who has time to clean when you're so tired, right? I opened up all the cabinets looking for something to save me, and there it was, the box of Cheerios. Okay, you might be wondering how Cheerios saved my life, but what I did was I took the box of Cheerios, grabbed my baby, grabbed a blanket, continued to dump the entire contents of the Cheerios on the floor, jumped onto the couch, and tried to conk out while my baby would be entertained for as long as possible. Suddenly, I hear someone telling me, Batya, what's going on? Batya, can you hear me? Batya, wake up. It's 3 a.m. and you have been sleeping for 45 minutes and it looks like Hurricane Cheerios. There's cereal all over the floor. It's stuck to the baby's cheeks and you're sleeping on the couch. I know you're tired, Batya, but this isn't normal. There has to be a better way to get rest. Can you relate to this? Being so drained from your baby's lack of sleep and knowing that you're absolutely at the end of your rope. That's where I was that night. But let's fast forward 3 months. We're still living abroad, but right now it's 6:30 a.m. and I had gone to sleep the night before at 11 p.m. Good morning, wake up, it's time to go to work. That was a sound of me actually waking my husband up. What's going on? What time is it? Why are you smiling like that? The baby slept the entire night last night. Can you believe it? It was a blissful moment. The first time my baby actually slept through the night. Can you imagine what that felt like? Finally having 7 hours of sleep behind me and waking up in the morning feeling rested. I can't believe it. I can't believe we finally got to this place. Looks like all your research paid off. And at that point, I knew I was onto something. Okay, let's fast forward another 2 years. At that point, I had not only helped my baby, but I had worked with hundreds of other families as well. But have you ever felt so absolutely stumped with the situation? A problem that seems almost unsolvable? One morning at 9:30 a.m., I was sitting down to enjoy my morning coffee when I got the call that changed my life. You know, that moment when you realize there's way more potential than you ever dreamed of? Batya, you're a miracle worker. Ryan slept beautifully for the past 3 nights. I was speechless. Batya, when I called you 4 weeks ago, I never would have believed he could do it. He was jumping off dressers at bedtime. He was so tired, he'd eventually bang his head on the wall and conk out on the floor. It was a disaster. Do some of you think that your child is the worst sleeper that can possibly exist? This mother felt that way and didn't think anyone would be able to help her. But with this child, I felt like I had cracked the code. I had helped, the nightmare child, the child that would never learn to sleep. I had helped him fall asleep easily and calmly at bedtime without crying, and now he slept through the night. It took a few weeks of hard work, but I knew at that point if I could help him, I could really help any child sleep. And that's what really changed my life. Fast forwarding to today. It's over 10 years later, and I run a full-time consulting service helping families. I do personalized one-on-one coaching, and we get to the root of child's sleep problems and solve them. I love my business. I love my life. I love doing this, and I love empowering fellow parents to get the rest they need, because that's what it's all about, enjoying these delicious bundles, right? I work with cute guys like this little one, Beckham. Beckham was 7 months when his parents called me, and they had tried everything. They had left him to cry it out. They tried picking up systems, putting him down. Nothing was working. We worked together for 4 weeks, not only got him sleeping through the night, but sleeping in his own room in his own crib. the parents were thrilled. So I see a lot of you. Let's see, Jenny, Jessica. Oh, Jessica. All right, we are talking about you a little bit, my dear, now. All right, I see you both asked questions. I'm going to get to your questions in a minute. We're going to go through that in a sec because I think we're going to address this. Jenny wants to know, my 6-month-old keeps waking up screaming for 45 minutes at bedtime. Just for me to help her stay past the 45-minute mark. Yes, Jenny, we're going to talk about that actually in this first step really soon. Jessica, my 2.5-year-old started climbing out of his crib at 17 months. Yes, he was good month, however, and is up and wakes up crying, looking for my husband, comes into our bedroom, and we have to try. Yeah, all right. You've tried letting him cry it out. All right, yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. A lot of this information might be a little redundant for you, Jessica, but a lot of these things we are going to talk about for sure, because this is really getting to the root of it to get rid of these sleep dependencies. And like I said, we're going to go really nitty-gritty with your questions and answers later, but I want to first talk about the general overview so you can all really understand what we're doing here. So let's talk about when you are tackling your child's sleep. Jessica, Jenny, anyone else on here, let's talk about the challenges and the problems that most people face. Okay, number one is where to start, which is what both of you just asked, right? Where to start? How to start? Do I tackle my baby's nights in one go? Do I work on forcing my 2.5-year-old to be in a bed? Do I try to put him back in a crib like Jessica asked? Do I work on extending naps? How do I do this? Where do I start? With middle of the night? With beginning of the nap? How does this work? Second challenge most people have is, will this work with my baby? Okay, you might have read a success story in a mom's Facebook group about one method that worked great, but it doesn't mean your baby's going to respond. What about your baby's personality, your baby's needs, your parenting philosophy, right? Those are definitely important things to keep in mind also. What about the future? Okay, once you figure out how to help your baby sleep now, how do you ensure that future sleeping sticks? Because this is an issue that arises a lot with people. They'll get their baby sleeping through the night, and then suddenly, like Jessica said, when baby learns to climb out of the crib, then what? Okay, how do you ensure that future sleeping sticks? So let's just sum up these 3 problems again. Starting, where to start, how to start, that left cloud. The middle, my baby. Will it work with my baby's temperament, my parenting philosophy, all of those things? And number 3, the third cloud on the right, what about the future? What about regressions? What about challenges? What about developmental milestones? What about traveling? What about all these things that arise that we call life to make sure that sleeping sticks? Now, asking these questions is great because they address really the fundamental points that people encounter when they teach their kids to sleep. They are common stumbling blocks, but you have to know how to deal with them in order to teach your baby to sleep. And when I first started coaching families long ago, I found they really lacked addressing these challenges properly because they solved a symptom of the problem instead of the root. So let me show you about the 3-step system I've created. We're going to delve super deep with this tonight, but we want to have long-term solutions here, right? Just like when there's an issue with this tree, let's say is rotting, you don't just cut off a leaf and try to solve it. You want to get deep down into the root of the tree and figure out what the issue is and what's going on with the tree and why the tree isn't growing. It's the same thing with sleep challenges. We can't just put a Band-Aid on it and say, great, it's fixed. We want to get to the root of it. So what we do is we first work on routine, which is this figuring out how to start, where to start, when to start, naps, cribs, bedtime, beds, jumping out, getting in. You first start with the routine, and we're going to talk about that a lot. The second question, will it work with my baby's personality, my baby's temperament, my parenting philosophy? We're going to talk a lot about that in the independent sleeping aspect. We're going to talk about why your baby's waking up and what you can do to stop it while still making sure you're in tune with your own parenting philosophy. Okay, and then the last step, what to do when sleep challenges arise in the future. Like Jessica said, when her baby learns to climb out of his crib, or if you travel, or if they drop a nap, or this or that, how to ensure future sleeping sticks. So tonight we're going to go through all 3 of these steps and how you can apply them. So that way you can get some idea on how to really begin incorporating different sleep ideas. And I'm going to even show you a way that you can access this even tonight. Okay, so let's start here. Let's talk about routine, and let's talk about the foundations of sleep moving forward. Let's just see what other questions we have here. Moshe, I have 11-month-old, he's a light sleeper. He tosses and turns. He's very difficult to put down for a nap. He's been sick while he's been well. It's so hard to keep any sort of schedule. Okay, that is a really good question. Remind me, I'm going to try to come back to your question after I talk about this routine. Let's just see if anyone else had a question here in the chat box. No. Okay, you can type it in both places, but that's just where I was checking it out. But Moshe, I'm going to come back to your question because that's a very good question, but I want to first talk about routine in general and what it is, and then we'll talk about how to navigate that and make sure it sticks. So let's talk about routine and what it is. Like I said, the biggest challenge most parents face is when and how to start. naps, bedtime, middle of the night, all in one go. How do I extend naps? How do I deal when life's challenges throw me off, like Moshe just said, and all these things. And I want you to know all sleep is a 24-hour cycle, okay? Day affects night, which affects the following day, and so on and so forth. And really, the general rule is that sleep induces sleep. And the better rested a child is, the easier they're going to fall asleep, the longer they're going to sleep. A really positive rolling cycle happens, the more qualitative sleep they get. But the adverse is true as well. Overtiredness causes more overtiredness. And when a baby is not getting enough sleep during the day, they fight bedtime, wake up more at night, and it's a vicious snowball effect. So when people think, oh, I'm going to leave my child up during the day because they'll be more tired and sleep better at night, total opposite is true. And I want you to know 70 to 80% of sleep challenges are really due to a child not being properly regulated for their sleep. You know, we don't just want to say 7 p.m. is bedtime and force a child into a box. We want to set things up from the ground up and make sure you have a proper routine set up that works with your child's natural rhythms to make sure that they're going to sleep well. All right. And aside from being overtiredness, a routine enables you to predict your child's needs as they come. It lessens your child's irritability drastically. Your baby doesn't have to cry because he's exhausted. He doesn't have to cry because he's overtired or ridiculously hungry. Even with older kids, I'm not even talking about newborn babies here. Just getting things in an even keel gives you the confidence as a parent to know what your child's needs are. And when you have an outline to his days, you're able to follow that. Okay. Now, if you're like a very easygoing, go with the flow, non-structured person, you might be getting really nervous when I say routine. It doesn't have to be like an enslaving play-by-play. It's liberating. It's just a sequence of events. My child usually goes to bed around this time, usually eats at this time, generally gets tired around that hour. Your baby's not a robot, but it will help your baby so much and help your toddler so much when you have this consistency set up. I eat lunch every day at 12 p.m. That's when I get hungry. Does that mean it's 12:05 every single moment? No, but generally my body gets hungry every day at 12 p.m. And generally, if all of you weren't sleep deprived, like most of you probably are tonight, you would go to sleep around the same time every night. We are all creatures of habit. And our babies thrive on that consistency. So having a routine helps you confidently help your child. It's a fundamental baseline to make sure they sleep well. So that's just what a routine is and the importance of it. Let me just take a quick sip here of water. Okay. Now, how you actually introduce the routine is a key foundation to making the routine successful. And Moshe, you're going to want to listen to this with your question with your 11-month-old. Because even if you have a great routine set up, which it sounds like you have a lot of inconsistency, but even if you have a great routine set up, how you introduce this routine is going to hands down make or break how well your child responds to it. What do I mean how you introduce it? It means how you wind your child down actually before sleep happens. Once your child is in this ideal time you've designated for sleep, there are a few key ideas to help him transition into calmer sleep. All children have, what I like to call a sweet spot for sleep, or this right sleep window when their body is in this ideal time to go to sleep. Different types of hormones are being, distributed throughout your baby's body. You've probably heard of melatonin, various types of cortisones. And what happens is at this ideal time, your baby's body is in go mode, ready to go to sleep. Now, what happens though when you miss this window, right? Your baby, let's say, is ready to go to sleep at 2 p.m. and it's suddenly 2:30, 3:30. You would think that these hormones just get distributed in such abundance that your baby passes out. But as you know, that is not the case. Your baby gets inconsolable, wired, fight sleep even more, and it's even more difficult to get him down. And what happens is a second wind, exactly like you would think. They fight sleep even more. These hormones get distributed completely out of whack. And what once was a baby or child that was in this ideal place for sleep, we're talking bedtime, naps, anything, you get to this very dangerous territory of a baby not being able to fall asleep. So practically speaking, keep your eyes on your child. I'm a big fan of logging. Whether you've worked with me before or you've been following me and reading my emails or you've read any of my books that I've written, anything, you have to be aware of what your child's sleep needs are. So log your child's habits for a few days and see, this sleep window, this sweet spot for sleep is usually around, 9 a.m. for that first nap, but I'm not offering it till 10 a.m. I already see my baby's off, rubbing his eyes and getting tired at 9:30, but I'm not even starting to wind him down until an hour later. So you are for sure missing this wait for sleep. And the goal is to have your baby asleep at this ideal time. Don't wait till he's rubbing his eyes. Don't wait till he's pulling his ears. Don't wait till he's fidgety, because it's just going to make it more difficult. And this has a lot to do with children who have a difficult time winding down for bedtime, because you're missing this ideal spot for sleep and they're fighting you even more. And it just makes everything more difficult because they're missing that window. So keep your eyes on your child. And the closer you get to your child's window, the more dangerous territory you enter because this window is really sensitive. So let's say your goal is to have your child asleep by 7 p.m. for bedtime. Then at 6:45, 6:50, before you reach this window, start getting your child into a less stimulated atmosphere to encourage relaxation. Take your child out of the busy, light, stimulating place and into another room, Doing this will help your baby transition into this calmer state. None of us would go on a 5-mile run and jump into our beds and expect our bodies to naturally relax. No way, right? None of us would go on a 5-mile run to begin with. But, we need ample time to go from point A to stimulation, fun, jumping, clapping, music to point B, sleep and relaxation. And sometimes we have to give certain children, especially ones who have a difficult time adapting or transitioning from environment to environment, they need sufficient wind down time to get their bodies there. Okay. And coupled with that is consistency. When one of my daughters was 2 years old, we had the same routine we did every single day before naps and before bedtime. We'd always go into her room, turn off the light. She'd put her head on my shoulder. I'd sing her a song for a few minutes and she'd go to sleep. She knew we weren't out playing. We weren't jumping. We weren't killing siblings anymore because we did the same thing every single day. And her body associated certain cues with sleep. So whether it's a certain lullaby you always sing, or whether it's, a certain activity you do, or baby massage, whatever it is, make sure it's consistent so that way your child can learn to associate certain cues with sleep. Okay, because that's really, really important. So make sure you do these calming activities. And even if your child's eyes don't suddenly droop when you're doing this wind down process, he's still getting the message. The more you repeat this process, the more he will internalize it. Okay, so that's just a little bit about what a routine is and how you can incorporate it and make sure you don't miss that window. But let's talk about even more deeply how to get a solid routine set up, especially if you don't have consistency or you feel like you don't. Okay, a routine is never going to be precise or it's never going to be exact because we're not working with robots here. If we were, I'm sure you all would have found the off switch when you need it, right? But you will see that after you incorporate a consistent routine, whether you have a 2-month-old or a 2-year-old, your child is going to get so much less irritable because when your child is sleep fighting so much, he's so overtired and becomes this vicious cycle, you would drastically minimize all of that once you get a routine set up. But the next logical question is how? Okay, great, Batya. I have this routine set up, but my baby doesn't want to go to sleep. My child doesn't want to go to bedtime, even though I'm getting this window in the great place and things are in a good spot. So, sorry, I'm drinking some hot tea. My throat hurts a little today. So what you want to do is focus on the when of sleep and not the how. What do I mean? Whether you have an infant or a toddler, we're going to discuss how to establish this routine. It means confidently getting your child to sleep whatever you can. When you are incorporating this routine, do your best to help your baby sleep no matter what. If you have to rock them in the stroller, fine. Right now, if you have to sit there with your 2.5-year-old Jessica at bedtime to have them stay in their crib, fine. Do whatever you can to make sure that they're sleeping at the times their body wants to be sleeping. Because if you're trying to push past that and just work on the how, you're going to skip this fundamental aspect, which is so much the critical baseline for successful sleep. So it doesn't matter to me what you do to get your child to sleep, even if you're nursing, bouncing, rocking. Obviously, it's not a long-term solution, but in the interim, it's critical to get their body set up to taking naps at certain times and getting it all set up. In the next step here, we're going to talk about the how, but I just want to make sure you really understand this. So let's do a little fun activity. How many of you feel like you have a solid routine set up with your baby's needs? Write it down either in that chat box, I'll check it, or where Jessica, Jenny, and Moshe had asked their questions or comments. What part of the day do you feel most confident with? Is it a certain nap that you know always happens? Do you know that bedtime is always consistent? Mornings? I'm going to give you a few minutes here to think about that because you can build off of that. If you have a part of your day that you are confident with, you can move forward so much more knowing that. So let's see if any of you asked questions in here. Okay. All right, no one put any comments over here. You can put it wherever you are comfortable with. Either in that chat box or over here. Let's see, I have a bunch of screens open. What part of your day do you feel most confident with? Anyone, for all of you who are on here tonight. Let's go back over here. Okay, so none of you have anything to say. Fine. So that's either a really good sign because you all have perfect, amazing routines, or it's completely haphazard. You don't have consistency. In either case, I highly suggest logging your child's habits for a few days because you've got to get this routine set up. If you've been following me on Facebook for a while, I talk about it all the time. It is the absolute fundamental point to teaching any child to sleep because so many people just jump to sleep training or trying to teach their baby to sleep through the night or doing this. But if you're missing working with your child's natural rhythms first, you're forcing them into a box and they're going to fight it. So let's summarize, okay? A solid sleep routine is the foundation to teaching your baby how to sleep. Otherwise, you are just solving symptoms of the problem instead of getting to the root of them. Okay, look at this little cute girl here. This is Emma. She was 7 months old when we worked together, and she had no structure to her days, okay? Her mom had tried everything. Emma was unhappy, and she cried a lot. We logged her habits, taking note of her habits for a few days, and created a routine for her, figuring out the when, right, the routine, and building up from that. We saw that she needed 2 more naps than she was getting. This poor girl couldn't stay awake nearly as long as her mother thought. Her mother thought, oh, well, she's fine. She doesn't really want to go to sleep, but she was missing that window left and right, that sweet spot for sleep. She was an overtired disaster. Once we got a routine set up, she was another child. She was happier. She was napping longer. She was going down easier. So make sure we work with a child's natural rhythms before moving on to anything else, because if you force a kid into a box, most likely you're not going to be successful with any sleep training method you try, okay? So that's routine. Now I want to talk about independent sleeping. Fine, you have the routine set up. How do you work on actually teaching a child how to sleep once you have that set up? We're going to talk about getting to the root of that here. Let me just see if anyone else had a question that I didn't see. Oh, Jenny said up to 6 months, I feel like you had a routine. Now I don't know what's going on. Naps are getting shorter. Okay. So that's something that you definitely want to address, Jenny. You want to see, before we move on to independent sleeping, take note of your baby's habits for a few days and see when that sweet spot for sleep is, because even if your child's routine is changing, the goal is that it doesn't change so drastically. It should be a general flow that when your baby is able to stay awake longer, it's not suddenly such a crazy shift in their routine. Or when your baby's napping less, it should be a general progression. So it's kind of big red flashing lights to me when you think that things have changed so drastically your baby won't sleep. Probably you don't have the best routine set up. So I would revisit that. Okay, but once you do have a routine set up, a good one, let's talk about how to get the root of a child's sleep. Let's talk about why your child is waking up to begin with. Okay, now a lot of you, like I said, I say this a lot, so it might be review for some of you, but I can't say it enough. Your child is waking up because they have a sleep dependency, right? Kids have various sleep cycles and rhythms just like adults do. REM, non-REM, deeper sleeps, lighter sleeps, you know, it affects how your baby sleeps, obviously, but how they wake up, which is the problem. So your baby has something called a sleep cycle, okay? Your baby falls into scenario 1, falling asleep, let's say, in mother's arms, completes the sleep cycle after 30, 40 minutes, and then is about to transition to sleep cycle 2. When your baby is transitioning between sleep cycle 1 and sleep cycle 2, what happens is called a partial awakening, okay? It's exactly what it sounds like. Your baby is basically partially awake, semi-aware of his surroundings, making sure the world is safe, and then transitions back to sleep. But when baby falls asleep in scenario 1, in mommy's arms, being pressed up against mommy's body, and then suddenly has this partial awakening where he's semi-cognitively awake, but suddenly, oh my gosh, he's in this cold crib all by himself, what happens? Baby wakes up all the way, is crying, is upset, and in essence wants you to recreate his sleep environment for him over and over and over. And that's why your babies can't sleep through the night. That's why, who was it? Jenny, was that you? Yeah, Jenny, that's why your baby's only taking short cat naps, because your baby constantly wakes up when a sleep cycle ends and needs you to recreate that sleep environment for them over and over and over and over, and rocking and holding and shaking and bouncing and nursing and all these things, because that's what is exactly stopping them from sleeping, is that need for them to constantly recreate that environment. And what it's called that they have is a sleep dependency, right? Like this man with a cane. He's dependent on the cane. It helps him, but a sleep dependency can portray itself in many ways. You know, you might have a pacifier. You might need to nurse every hour. You might have your little 2.5-year-old Jessica who needs you to constantly put him back in the bed. He has a sleep dependency on needing your interaction all the time. So the dependencies steal your sleep because you're the one who's constantly helping your child back to sleep. Okay, and I understand it's natural, especially with little babies in the beginning. You get into the habit of nursing them or feeding them and doing whatever works, but long term, it's not what you want to happen here. And I'm sure you could all write your own stories here of why you're up all night. But let's discuss different sleep dependency ideas and how you can stop them. So what I want to talk to you about now are the different mainstream approaches of sleep training that exist now. Okay, and I'm going to go through the main ones and tell you exactly why I don't like them. Okay, and then I'll tell you what I do like and what I use with my clients and what I suggest you use because it works. Okay, the drum roll, please. Right? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, first and foremost, the most widespread idea that everyone knows about is cry it out. Okay, to most, this means just putting your child in a crib or in a bed in a room all by himself and leaving him to suddenly scream himself to sleep. So the goal here is he eventually learns to settle back to sleep, right? Because he falls asleep alone, has this partial awakening alone, and transitions back to sleep alone. So in theory, it works. But you know what? A lot of parents shudder at the idea of leaving their child to scream. And it's not a blanket statement that it works for every single child, because guess what? Some children might do great with it and in 3 nights learn to sleep through the night. And I'm not judging you if you've done it. That's great. I'm just here to talk about gentler solutions. But other kids might feel totally traumatized and abandoned and left alone because, oh my gosh, mommy was with me yesterday holding me all night and now I'm in this crib by myself. Like, what is going on? So I don't like cry it out, okay? Just because it's not a blanket statement that it's going to work for every baby. Let's talk about the opposite extreme completely. Methods that claim zero crying whatsoever. Your baby never protests, never even peeps, never does anything. At the end of the day, those don't work either. Because when your child's crying and you're constantly giving into them, you're just creating a vicious cycle of a sleep dependency, because the second they cry, you give the pacifier back. The second they cry, this. There is, this one method that claims, in the beginning, let's say your child has a pacifier. So when your baby cries out for the pacifier, you give the pacifier back and then take it out and then give it back and take it out. But that's just confusing. It's just overstimulating. Your child never learns how to do anything or how to sleep by themselves because you're constantly giving in. Okay, what about, let's say, a middle ground approach, so to speak, Ferber checking systems, when you, increasingly longer intervals go into your room. So you leave your baby for a few minutes, they're crying, let's say for 2 minutes, then you go in and check on them, give them a kiss, then you leave them for 5 minutes, and then go back in, then leave them for 10 minutes. The problem is a baby could cry for sometimes 30, 40, 50 minutes alone. So they're still left to cry on their own for significant periods of time, A. And B, I don't like this method because, again, it's totally inconsistent. Sometimes mommy's here, sometimes mommy's not here, sometimes she picks me up, sometimes she feeds me, sometimes it's totally overstimulating and your child doesn't learn what's up or down because sometimes you respond and sometimes you don't. They don't know if it's been 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or a year, right? So I don't like that. Many parents, I will tell you, have tried these methods and they don't work and they don't see success. Number one, it's because your child didn't respond well to it. Or number two, it's because you didn't even get to this routine part, which is a key fundamental point. Okay, so I've created an amazing approach that works. I call it the gentle phase out method. And it's what I use with every single family I work with across the board, independent of age. We just mold it to each individual circumstance. It's basically, in the beginning, helping your child a lot, fully being there for them, never leaving them by themselves, and progressively, as they get more and more comfortable falling asleep on their own, you phase your intervention out of the picture. Okay, let me give you an example. I worked with someone a few weeks ago, Chloe. Chloe had a 1.5-year-old daughter named Abby. I've changed their names because she asked me to. But let's say Chloe has a 1.5-year-old daughter named Abby. And I'm telling you that because I think you're on here tonight. So you should know I changed your name, okay? And Abby always wanted to sleep with the mother, either in mom's bed or mom would sleep in Abby's bed. The sleep dependency was she needed to be pressed up against mom's body by holding her hand and stroking mom's hair. She typically wake up every 1 or 3 hours at night, 1, 2, 3 hours, and repeat the process until 2 a.m. Mom would just give in and bring her into her bed because she was so tired. So first, we had to actually ensure Abby was sleeping at the times her body needs. So we filled in a whole sleep log that I have. We gauged her habits. We got bedtime aligned. We figured out when the ideal nap time was for her because, like I said, you have to start there before anything else or forget it. After we had spent 3-4 days on that, we confidently knew what Abby's sleep needs were. We've moved on to this gentle phase out method of mine. So first, we had to transition Abby to going to sleep in her crib because, hang on, let me just take a drink. I look like I have a whole bar over here. I have like my water, my cold water, and my tea. Okay. So first, we had to get Abby used to falling asleep in her crib and not mom's bed. So what we did was we helped Abby wind down with 100% of Chloe's reassurance. Abby would sit there with her, Chloe sat with Abby and she put her in the crib and she held her hand and she sang to her. And when Abby stood up, she'd kiss her and she'd lay her back down, but she didn't take Abby out of the crib. Abby was really angry mom wasn't giving in, but Abby was completely reassured that when I call out to mommy, mommy's there. And I want you to know there's a very, very big difference. I cannot say this enough. There's such a big difference between a child crying because, God forbid, they're alone, they're traumatized, they're abandoned, where are my parents? Or a child crying because they're not being responded to the way they want, right? My 10.5-year-old had I wouldn't say temper tantrum because he's a little too big for that. He got really mad at me that I didn't take him to a certain store that he for some reason thought I was going to take him to. And he was angry and he was upset. I could just lock the door and like go in my room and say, forget it. I don't need to deal with you. I decided what I decided and that's that. But no, that's not what I do. Instead, I sit down with him and I say, listen, I'm so sorry that you're frustrated. I'm so sorry that you're upset. I'm going to hold your hand and be there for you, right? It's the same thing here. Your babies are having full-fledged temper tantrums. You might not be able to logically reason with them, but they don't need logic when they're a 6-month-old or a 2-year-old. They just want love and reassurance from their mother or from their father. And that's what it's about. So we spent the first few nights just doing that. Anytime Abby cried out, Chloe came immediately, responded to her right away. Abby knew when I called out to mommy, mommy comes. And every few nights, we slowly phased Chloe out of the picture. I don't always do this, but in this case, I actually physically moved Chloe further and further away so Abby could get used to falling asleep with still having mom's reassurance. Some cases, we actually touch less. Some cases, we talk less. But the ultimate goal is, it took us about 2 weeks of every few nights helping Abby a little less, while still knowing she could get that reassurance from her mother. And I use this philosophy all the time. So you have to take note of how old your child is, what your sleep dependency is, what sleep dependency you're trying to phase off of. But it's important that every few nights you make a change because you want to keep up the momentum of what you're doing, but you also want to make sure that your child's sleep dependencies don't continuously get replaced with new ones. For example, if your baby is always used to being held to sleep, we don't want them to suddenly get completely dependent on you sitting there holding their hand at night. So you have to make sure that you move through the progressive phases enough that your baby's making headway. It shouldn't take longer than about 2 weeks, okay? Obviously, it's much more detailed, right? I spend 2-3 weeks alone with the families I work with creating tailor-made methods and plans, but you get the general idea, okay? You want to make sure that your child feels secure. So let's talk about this. I'm sure you're going to make your own list here. What is your child's sleep dependency? Okay, write it in the chat box. Is it a pacifier? Is it rocking? Is it nursing? Is it holding? On Wednesdays, we had someone that told me that they have a 2-year-old that only falls asleep being driven around in the car. So those were a lot of different sleep dependencies. It was the sensory tightness of the belts. It was the motion of the car and the vibration. It was the sound of the engine. That child had a lot of sleep dependencies. So write in the chat box here or right here in the topic, ask a question or suggest a topic section. Let me know what you think your child's sleep dependency is. How would I suggest getting rid of a pacifier? So a pacifier, Jenny, is a good question. A pacifier can be a complete sleep dependency when you're popping it back in every 5 minutes at night, or a pacifier could actually be sometimes a calming mechanism. But if you think a pacifier is a sleep dependency, most likelihood it is. So with a pacifier, there's no middle ground, right? You can't like phase a pacifier out of the picture like you phase a mommy, right? You just can't move a pacifier further away. Either it's in the mouth or out of the mouth. But I don't generally recommend taking the pacifier away completely unless you're 100% sure that that is the only sleep dependency. From what you've written here with the different things, I would first start with the routine, Jenny. Sounds like you got to get that routine set up before all else, because it's possible that your baby is waking up, Jenny, and taking short naps just because the routine isn't set up well. So don't jump to conclusions, anyone here, and say, well, this is a sleep dependency alone. I'm just trying to give you an idea, but I really always tell people to first start with the routine aspect. Let's see if anyone else wrote anything. No, okay. We have a small group here tonight, so that's okay. Last week's was a lot bigger, but like I said, I know a lot of you couldn't make it, and I wanted to just have another presentation here tonight. I'll give everyone a few minutes if anyone wants to write to me what their sleep dependency is that they know. Moshe, I'm just writing here what you had written. Difficult to put for naps. Naps are irregular. He's overtired, sick. Sounds like there's a lot going on here, but I would guess the sleep dependency is your presence, because if he wakes up a lot at night and wants to play with you, that could be a sleep dependency, just having mom and dad close. Has to hold my hair, your 3-year-old. Oh, good times, Katie. Okay, so you got to figure out a way to phase that out, because it's just going to get worse as your child gets older, and I don't think you want to be sitting there with a 6-year-old or even a 4-year-old while they hold your hair, right? So let's summarize, okay? The key to teaching your baby how to sleep is by tackling his sleep dependency while taking into account his unique personality and your parenting philosophy, right? If you don't want to leave your child to scream, you don't want to leave your child to scream. And if you want to try a checking system or do something like that, fine, go for it. I'm not here to tell you what you should not do, but I will tell you that in my experience, having done this for a long time, it doesn't always work. So you want to take into account what your child's personality is, what you feel is important, what your parenting philosophy is, and what the sleep dependency is to get rid of it. Okay, this is Gavin. Gavin was 3 years old when his parents contacted me, and they had to coax him to bed for hours every night. Okay, his parents felt like the 3-year-old was running the show. His sleep dependency was mom had to sit with him for at least an hour and a half, rubbing his back, trying to get him to sleep. And if she tried to sneak away before he was asleep, it was all over. Okay, so first we had to create a gentle method where we got him acclimated to learning how to have relaxation come. He was totally nervous and would fight relaxation altogether. We made him feel like $1 million in the process. We did charts and stickers and all these different things. It took 4 weeks, but we got him actually asking to go to bed and telling us that he was tired by that point, because we had to make sure he was sleeping at the right times. And we had to make sure we did what his body needed by teaching him to fall asleep without suddenly leaving him in a locked room saying, figure it out. He needed the security of his parents close by because he needed their help to learn how to get relaxed. But at the end of the day, after those 4 weeks, he goes to sleep and sleeps through the night. I worked with him already last year and he's doing great. Okay. So that's routine here. That's independent sleeping. Let's talk about the sleep line. Let's talk about setbacks, hurdles, things that throw off good sleepers. Okay. Now you might be thinking this all sounds great, but let's talk about how to navigate hurdles as they arise. Now I view the sleep line as a road. All right. Just like, sometimes you might veer a little to the right, you might veer a little to the left. We know the only constant we can ever rely on in life is that our kids are always changing. But you get a little bit off to the right. Okay, you push them back down. You move a little to the left, you push them back on. I think there were like 10 of you on here when I had my 2-year-old on my lap a half an hour ago. My 2-year-old is not normally awake at 9 o'clock at night. She has a fever. She was sick. She slept the whole afternoon. Fine. Guess what? As soon as she's better, we'll get her back on, because that's what the sleep line is, getting right back to business when things get thrown off. So like I said, the goal is that you don't veer too far off your sleep line, so that way you never get to a point where a child is fighting sleep for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and months on end when they were previously a good sleeper. Okay, let's talk about an example. Just like I just told you, when your child gets sick, let's say your child is a champion sleeper for 4 months, sleeps through the night, everything's in a perfect place, but suddenly your child gets sick and has a fever, or your child gets shots, and then suddenly a child that used to be an amazing sleeper is up every 20 minutes asking to be fed, or every half an hour getting the pacifier. 2 weeks into it, you don't have a sick child anymore, but suddenly you have a child that doesn't sleep through the night. So when they're sick, obviously you have to give them TLC. You have to love them, kiss them, cuddle them, do whatever you can. But the key is, when they feel better, get right back onto the sleep line. Go right back to business, right back in the crib, right back into old sleeping habits, because new habits take shape a lot more than old ones are forgotten, much more strongly. So you want to make sure as soon as your child feels better, you go right back to those old habits so it doesn't happen. Same thing with travel or jet lag. You're in a new environment. You travel across the country for a beautiful trip in the Caribbean. I don't know. And of course, when you're away, your child's not going to sleep well, because instead of being in their own room, they're like playing peekaboo with you all night in this hotel room. Fine. So when you navigate life, you deal with it when you're gone. But when you get back home, right back to business. Them in their crib, you in your room, doing everything you can to make sure that they get to sleeping. Because like I said, they'll learn things a lot quicker than you want them to, and then suddenly you'll have a child that's fighting sleep. So let's talk about obstacles. You don't have to give me 5. I just wrote that down here. Let's talk about things that can throw your child's sleep off. Jessica, climbing out of the crib is a big one. Anyone else, though, have anything to say about obstacles that can arise that can throw your child's sleep off? Teething, sickness, jet lag, like I had said, getting shots, going away for the weekend, having a loud aunt come who clinks pots and is trying so badly to help you clean your house when all she's doing is waking up that child you just got to sleep, whatever. All these things are things that can throw your sleep off, okay? So you don't have to give me a list. I just gave you your own, but that's basically the gist of it, okay? So in order to prevent sleep regressions in the future, you need a solid sleep line in place. That way you never veer too far off track with your baby's sleep, okay? Let me give you an example. This is Anna and her baby brother, Donnie. Yes, they are very cute, but they both slept great independently. Excuse me. But once mom tried to move them into the same room, everything went completely haywire. They were waking each other up. This one would cough, this one would cry, and they were up all night. So we had to get them both into their own independent sleep lines. We had to first teach them how to sleep well independently while learning to sleep through each other's noises. It took a few weeks, but that's also another common thing. Room sharing, trying to transition kids together to sleep in the same room when they used to sleep well. There's 100 million things that always arise, because welcome to life. You just want to get back to your sleep line. Okay, so these are the main 3 steps we talked about tonight. We talked about where to start and how to start, always with routine, getting the best routine set up for your baby, making sure they're not overtired, because when they're overtired, they fight it more. You're in a really bad place, vicious snowball effect, and you're not going to get anywhere with teaching a child how to sleep, let alone getting them to sleep. Then we talked about your parenting philosophy and making sure you mold whatever method you're comfortable with. I talked about what a sleep dependency is, why technically it's stopping your child from sleeping. I talked about all the current sleep training ideas that exist and why I don't like them. And then I told you about my method because it's really gentle, it works, and it's always aligned with who you are. And then we just talked about the sleep line. We talked about making sure that future challenges don't throw your sleep off, okay? I know there are some people here now who are going to take this information and really make changes, but I have to be honest, right? This was an overview. How long did I talk now? 47 minutes, right? I did as much as I could to pack in information, but everyone requires their own plan. Everyone has their own story. And I really want to see you all make changes in your home because I have been there, right? You heard my Cheerio story, but even now I'm a busy mother myself. And when I'm sleep deprived, I'm telling you, you don't want to come within 10 feet of me. So I get it. Okay. Because it's about making that decision for change and making sure we did everything. So I didn't delve super deep, but this is everything we do. It gets so much deeper. We talk about how to actually mold your baby into a routine and delve a lot deeper. Like I said, I just barely scratched the surface today. And really, 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 I'm just going to be totally honest. A lot of people aren't always interested in working with me one-on-one through my higher end services. I now these days charge over $1,000 just to work with me intimately. And it's so much my mission to restore sanity to tired families. So if you're the type of person who can take information and go with it, then I'm going to tell you about something that's going to be awesome for you. Ask yourself, don't you want to be that thriving parent? Don't you want to be that person that wakes up in the morning refreshed, ready? This is me talking to a tired mom. You have to make that decision for change. You have to make, that catalyst and say, all right, I'm ready to make some changes. It's not working. I'm not happy. And only you can make that decision. You have to sit down and say, listen, is this the way I want to be? Is this the life I want? Is this the person I want to be? Is this the parent I want to be? So I want to show you the exact same system I use for all the families I work with, high end, that I've been doing for over 10 years now. And the 3 steps we just went over, but in tons more detail because there's so much more. Now, I call this system that I'm going to show you tonight, I call it the Rested Moms Club. It's basically an entire sleep course that I just created. And this is what I told everyone about on Wednesday. I'm so excited. It took me over a year to compile all the information with all the clients I've worked with. But I told myself, you have to do this if you want to empower the world, because I'm only one person, right? I only have so much time. So by making this available to everyone, you can all really get the rest you need. So it's called the Rested Moms Club because it's exactly what it is. It's a community together, getting the sleep you need and nailing it. So I don't want you to keep struggling. I don't want you to keep wishing you could sleep feeling around in the dark, hanging around in Facebook groups or Googling sleep answers. Okay, so let's talk about what the Rested Moms Club is. Okay, it's basically everything you need to help your baby sleep now and for years to come. You can think of it as your giant shortcut to get sleep long term, because we all know you don't want to do an experiment with your baby, right? You're not just going to try something with your baby hoping it will work. Your child's too precious, and so is your time and your sanity. So the Rested Moms Club is literally the exact same step-by-step method I use with all of my high-end clients for the past 10 years. It works. The only difference is I'm making it available to you without having to pay for high-end sleep services if you're not interested, or giving you the availability to just do it on your own. So what is this Rested Moms Club? First of all, it is my intensive sleep courses for every single age, which includes newborns, 0 to 5 months, 6 to 12 months, 1 to 2 years, and 2 years plus. It's already created. You don't have to wait for anything, and it's accessible to you any hour of the day or night, right? Each course for every age includes slideshows, videos of myself, PDF downloads, workbooks I've created to kind of understand everything that you're watching, to make sure you really understand sleep and how it works. And most importantly, everything that we have here has sample routines, activity logs, documents to fill in so it can help you. When I created this, I really thought it through to make sure that it was going to be amazing so you could really delve deep with everything. But more than that, it's content rich. I hate when I try to watch a slide or do a course, or when I was in college and they're just fluffing it up for a long time and giving you this long intro. Just get to the point already. It's content rich, okay? It's not stupid things that you're waiting around when I'm going to get to the point. It's the ideas that explain and outline exactly what you need to do so you're never lost. You basically get also all of this. So sorry. So what I'm going to do now, in this, you get my step-by-step guidance also. And I'm going to tell you how I do that because I go through all the same steps that I use with all my higher-end clients. So all the age courses are different because everyone's different with their age and development. But let me just give you an outline of how the Rested Moms Club works. That's the slide I showed you by accident. Week number 1 is routine. We focus on the foundation of sleep, setting up a proper sleep routine, getting the activity log together, finding out the best routine, solidifying the routine, and making sure you have that first step down. Because like I said, I cannot emphasize enough, you have to start here. And even when people think they don't, we still do. And worst case scenario is you can see, oh, you have the most perfect routine set up and skip to the next place. But always, this is the key place to start. After that, we move to independent sleeping. We get nitty gritty deep with your child's sleep dependency and how we're going to phase it out and what we're going to do night 1, night 2, night 3, night 4 in depth and how we're going to get your baby used to that. Let's say you have a baby that's up nursing or has a pacifier, or you have this toddler climbing out of their bed 100 times a night or crib, how you're going to actually phase yourself out of the picture and what that's going to look like. And we start exclusively with nights. In the 3rd week, we work on nap training. We work on fusing everything together so your child's an awesome sleeper for both day and night and in a really good place. Because if you have a child sleeping through the night, that's awesome, but let's make your child also sleep well during the day. Okay, so let me give you just a breakdown summarizing. Oh, sorry. Then week 4, that's when we go through the sleep line. Schedule changes as your child gets older, dropping a nap, transitioning from 2 naps to 1 nap, setbacks, hurdles, other sicknesses, we delve really deep with all the setbacks and hurdles. We talk about spring forward, fall backwards, daylight savings time happens twice a year, throws everyone off, sibling shuffle, how to navigate bedtime if you have more than one child, everything, okay? Just to make sure you have all the tools in your pocket to know how to deal with challenges. So here's the outline, sorry. Week 1 is routine. Week 2 is independent sleeping, only for nights. Week 3 is independent sleeping for nights, for naps and ironing out kind of like any loose kinks. And week 4 is the sleep line, okay? But as a Rested Moms Club member, you don't just get the course. I give you a lot more than just the course. And I'm going to tell you why it's a community and why I don't just like send you a course and say, do it yourself, figure it out. I actually help you along the way. So number 1, it's a community. You get lifetime access to all these sleep courses, 0 to 4, 0 to 5 months, 6 to 12 months, 2-year-olds, 3 years, for every age, forever. Lifetime access, okay? You also get access to guest experts that I have that talk about parenting and talk about, all these extra things, and life coaches, how to balance busy motherhood and how to be healthy and fit in exercise, and even other experts that complement what I do and all these different things. And you get updates anytime I update. For example, I'm already right now thinking about adding a whole potty training section and the best way to potty train with sleep and how to make sure there's not regressions there, or even my potty training method that I use. And anytime I put an update in there, because you have lifetime access, you're going to get it all the time. So I want you all to be successful. I want to get emails with you emailing me and saying, oh my gosh, Batya, this is awesome. I'm getting so much sleep, right? So full access to the Rested Moms Club for all different ages and all the interactive workbooks with lifetime access, that alone is like almost $1,000 value with all the courses. I see people who sell courses these days and all these things. They charge a lot just for a few months of access. I'm giving you lifetime. I'm not charging you that much. No way, Jose. But I'm just telling you that the value for that is phenomenal. Okay. And I'm on your side to help you and guide you. So what I'm going to do in addition to that lifetime access is I give you 6 months access to my secret Facebook group. Now, it's a Facebook group with everyone else who is just in the Rested Moms Club. And because you are in my course and you're going through everything, I know exactly where you are. So I can give you straightforward answers and not just like turn around, try this, try that. I'll say, listen, go look at slide number XYZ and move to this because your baby's ready. I can give you real hand-holding guidance. And that alone has almost a $300 value. So we have the lifetime access to the sleep courses for every age, which is almost $1,000 alone. And we have the 6 months access of the secret Facebook group with me, which is almost $300. So that alone already we're talking is like almost $1,300 of value. So ask yourself, right? There's 2 kinds of people. We have sleep-deprived Samantha here on the left, who is falling on her face, probably drinking her like 500th cup of coffee of the day. Or we have Get It Done Gloria, who is super mom holding her baby with energy. You have to make that decision. Which one do you want to be, right? I personally want to be the one with the cake. But do you want to be that tired parent anymore? Do you want to be that parent that really is thriving and just like on fire with life? We want to be Get It Done Gloria. So what I'm actually going to give you, in addition to everything else, is also 2 months of weekly Q&A calls. So that's 8 question answer calls live with me How it's going to work is you email me your question ahead of time. I evaluate your situation, and I offer you tailor-made advice on a group call with other people in the Rested Moms Club. So you get my advice. Thus alone, I just charge for phone calls. For 8 group calls for 2 months straight is almost $400. So we have the lifetime access to the sleep courses for every age, which is almost $1,000. We have 6 months access to the secret Facebook group where I'm in there guiding you, doing live question and answer sessions. I also set you up with accountability partners. You get expert guests go in there. It's awesome. Okay. You have 2 months access to the weekly question and answer sessions. So we're already talking almost $1,700 here. Okay. And think about how much you spend on other things in life, right? Think about how much you'd spend on a night nurse, right? Seriously adds up over the weeks and the months. When all is said and done, no real problems have been fixed, right? The night nurse leaves and you still have a baby that's up all night. Or how much you spend on your own sanity, buying your own Starbucks coffee, or therapy. I'm just kidding. No, or whatever you're trying to do to try to help yourself, or natural sleep remedies. Sorry, I'm going out of order here. Natural sleep remedies, homeopathic things, or lavender oil, or melatonin doses. That's great, but you spend so much money on your relationships, trying to spend time with your friends, with yourself, with your partner, with your spouse. It really adds up over time. Okay, so let's talk about what we can do here. What I'm going to even give you, in addition to everything else, is monthly access to the world-class parenting experts and coaches. Now, that is in addition to the other experts that I bring in. So what I'm planning on bringing in a bunch of different people lined up to come in and talk to you about how to navigate life and make sure that things are in a really good place aside from your sleep, because sleep is just a catalyst for the rest of your life. None of you are on here fine. You're on here now because you're tired, but you're on here now because you're not functioning. You're not the parent you want to be. Your work isn't going well. Your relationship's suffering because you're tired. Tired is just a means to the other issues that are happening here. So I give you lifetime access to all the sleep courses for every age, almost $1,000. The 6-month secret Facebook group, $300 almost. The 2 months weekly Q&A calls, almost $400. And access to all these amazing coaches and experts that I have bringing in there for their time. I have to pay them. They are almost $250. So we're already talking here almost $2,000 in value. Don't worry. I'm not going to charge you that much because I want to make a special offer to all of you here tonight. But that's a lot. It's a lot of bonuses, and you really have a choice in terms of this. You have a choice to make decisions, a choice to decide, if you want to move forward in your life and everything. And this is for people who know it's possible, people who know their child can't sleep, but they don't know how to do it. This is for people who are ready for change and ready for sleep, okay? If you're just kind of like on here saying, yeah, it'd be nice, maybe, this isn't for you, because you're only going to get the sleep job done when you're really ready. Also, you have to ask yourself, are you the kind of person who can take information and go with it? Obviously, I'm there guiding you, and I'm there on the Q&A calls, and I'm there in the Facebook group, but you have to be go-getter Gloria. Get it done, Gloria. You have to be the type of person who can say, listen, I'm ready to take this information and fly with it. And if you tell me exactly what to do step by step, I can do it. And this is important for you. Here's the link if you want to sign up for what this is, but I'm going to tell you in detail what this whole thing is, okay? What else do you get? The first 10 people tonight who join the Rested Moms Club, and I did this last week also, but I'll open it up for 10 more people, get a free private one-on-one phone session with me. Okay, I usually charge $175 per phone call. So what you're getting here, we're just summing it all up again, okay? You get the lifetime access to all the sleep courses for every age. You get the 6 months secret Facebook group that you can be in touch with me for 6 months. Then on top of that, you have the 2 months of the weekly Q&A calls. You have access to these awesome world-class parenting experts and coaches. Trust me, they are awesome, and they're going to hop into the Facebook group and be part of our emails. Then you have a private one-on-one phone consultation with me that I charge $175 for normally. So that alone, we're talking a little over $2,000 in value here, okay? In our Facebook group, I want to tell you what else you get. You get live Pick My Brain sessions. I set you up with accountability partners where you're doing things together, making sure you're both in it together, helping everyone along the way. I hop in regularly. My team is there to help you and guide you when you have a question. It's not like another Facebook group, or if you're part of my other Facebook group now where I try to hop in when I can. Here, I'm there for you. We have set times. You can know to expect me. You can be there, and I'll be there to answer your questions, because I really want to create a thriving community of people who help one another, but also who get serious results. And I'm there all the time to help you, because isn't that what you want, right? All these things. So you're getting all this here that has almost $2,000 value. And you would think, oh, this would be a great deal if I gave it to you for even $1,000, right? Because that's half. a rested, happy, well-rested family for $1,000. Wow, well, that's half of what Batya would do for $2,000. But you know what? I'm not even going to give it to you for that much. For the general public, if you would go right now to my website, you will see the Rested Moms Club, which I just made live, is normally $297, which is drastically cheaper than the $2,000, than the $1,000, right? But for all of you who are here now, I'm actually closing up Rested Moms Club tonight. But for those of you who are on tonight, I'm going to offer you a special discount even of just $197. That's with the entire lifetime access, the 6 months Facebook group, the weekly Q&As for 2 months, the one-on-one call with me to the first 10 people that get there, all the experts, everything. And I'm giving, like I said, to the first 10 people who call and who sign up at this link, restedmomsclub.com/join. The first 10 people who sign up tonight, you are going to get a one-on-one call with me because I really want to help guide you and I want to talk to you and really help you through the issues so you can make a serious game plan for sleep because you have a choice now, right? Number one, do nothing, right? You can continue sitting around, continue feeling sleep deprived, drinking 100 cups of coffee a day, wondering if it will get better, or you can decide to fix it, right? Decide that this is the time that you are ready, that you don't want to suffer through any more sleep deprivation. You want to get this first step together, then sign up for the Rested Moms Club here, restedmomsclub.com/join. And if you're a father, you're still allowed, no offense. I just called it that because most people are mothers. And like I said, it's the exact same system I use start to finish that I've been helping for families in years and years and years and years. So it's $197 tonight only for all of you on the call. And I've never done this before, but really, I really want to have feedback from all of you. I want to have, I want to create this community. And so far, the people that I have in it they're really liking the course. Like I said, I just opened it up on Wednesday and already we have a real thriving community of people here. So go to this link, restedmomsclub.com/join to be that thriving mother again, work intimately with the other moms in the group and I'll be there to guide you and give you that same guidance for only $197 here. So let's see what questions we have. Many of us can't see or hear. Oh no, I was just talking for a long time. Anyone else cannot hear or see me? SD, let's see. Why can you not hear or see me, SD? You should be able to. Let's see, let's let you see me. Hang on. Stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna let you all see me now. Okay, can you see me now, SD? Let me know. You get to see my beautiful home office that I'm working from today, my goodness. Do any of you have any questions for me? Let's go through the other questions here that we have here. Let's pull this up. Hang on. Let me see. I have 100 screens open here in front of me. Like I said, we have this other laptop. Let's see what the other questions are here. Etsy, I hope you can see me or hear me because I'm here now. Let me know. If anyone else, can someone just type in Jenny and Katie, you've been really good. Can you see me and hear me? I want to make sure I wasn't talking to no one all this time. Thank you, Katie. Okay, I'm just sure because I could talk a long time. All right. So I hope we did talk a lot about your questions. I'm going to scroll down here. Let's see. We have these. Okay, I think I answered your questions mainly there that you had, Jenny. Jessica, let's talk about your 2.5-year-old coming out of his crib. I know he started at 17 months because I know we've been in touch, okay? He was really, really good the first month, but after that, he wakes up crying, looking for my husband or myself, and comes into our bedroom and wants to lay with him, and you've tried a lot of things. You've tried letting him cry it out. You've tried for hours. You've tried rewards, pep talks, negotiating. He wakes up 3 times a night. You are exhausted. Okay. So Jessica, I want you to know, actually, I'm going to share my screen again while I answer you in case anyone does still want to sign up for this Rested Moms Club so you could see it. Jessica, you should just know that at this age, a 2.5-year-old cannot logically understand cause and effect of the world. You can give him treats, bribery. You can even use punishment or use all these cried out methods. But at the end of the day, when it's 2 a.m., and he just wants to come into your bed and see mommy and daddy, he doesn't care what he's going to get. He can't think that far in advance till 7 a.m. in the morning because right now he wants you now. So what you have to do is a game plan approach of how you are going to get him, A, more comfortable with his crib, B, evaluate maybe is it time for him to be in a bed. I'm not sure. I'd have to get to know him a little more. Or C, what are you going to consistently do to ensure that he's safe and doesn't come out? Because what I like to do here with a 2.5-year-old especially is make sure you are always coming to his sleeping environment, not him coming to yours. I don't want him coming out of his room looking for mommy and daddy in the middle of the night, A, because it's not safe, right? We don't want him to have free roam of the house all night. And B, we want to teach him to stay put. So similar to what I did with Gavin, who was 3, and I don't know if you remember, I showed you that picture. He was coming out of his bed, jumping off dressers, didn't know how to go to sleep. We have to teach him how to not fight relaxation while still feeling secure, knowing that you're there. So definitely, you know, we're going to go through that because it's the same 3 steps I use. But I would recommend doing that because all the treats and the bribery to this or that is not going to work, especially with the 2.5-year-old who's not developmentally aware to understand what's going to happen. And you're not going to start punishing him because punishing him isn't even going to work, right? He's not going to know, well, if I come out of my bed there, then in the morning they're going to this, that. He's little, he's a baby practically. So it's really important that you're consistent and that you give him the opportunity to go back to sleep there. Okay. But like I said, for any of you who want to sign up and be one of those first 10 people, go to restedmomsclub.com/join. Let's see the other questions here. Other questions here. Okay. I don't think anyone else has any more questions. Let's see. Oh, someone else typed this over here. They said, how is Rested Moms Club a community if you're leading it? Okay, so that's a really good question. Rested Moms Club, like I said, is a community, right? I pair you up with accountability partners and you're there. I hop in regularly. And because I'm there, because I'm not just answering random questions like I do a lot on my Facebook page or in my group, I do my best to help everyone, obviously. But because it's random, I'm not just like throwing information saying, do that, do that. I can actually guide you through my whole system. So you're getting all of my expertise, plus you're emailing me directly. And on those weekly calls, I'm telling you, okay, Jenny, do this, Katie, do this, Jessica, do that. Etsy, do that. Who else is on here? You know, because you're getting all of my one-on-one guidance, and I'm telling you, knowing where you are holding in terms of my whole course. But you get the community effect because you're all in it together. And that's why I like to set you up with someone along the way. It's really just in the beginning. We're only going live with this week, but so far everyone's really liking the courses and everything. So if you want to be a part of that, like I said, go to, you can see all my wonderful slides here, restedmomsclub.com/join. Does anybody else have another question for me? Let's see. When I tell you I have a bunch of screens open in front of me, you will know. All right, so that's that. I'm going to go continue. I told you I have a whole bar here. I have the cold water. I have the hot tea. So I'm going to go rest my voice a little bit, but I hope to see a lot of you on the other side of sleep. You're trying to type, but you have a nursing baby. Okay. Do you have a question for me, Katie? Anything you want to ask me now? I can wait a few minutes if you want to ask me anything, even when your baby is nursing. But like I said, you know where to find me. And I'm really excited to help you all get the rest you need. And like I said, the first 10 people are going to get that one-on-one call with me. So go to restedmomsclub.com/join. And looking forward to helping you all get some sleep. I'm closing up shop tonight with this. So Rested Moms Club is not going to be available after tomorrow. I'm going to have a wait list probably open it back up again in another month or 2. So now is the time. And that's why I'm running this Encore workshop that I did, because I didn't want you all to miss out on it, because it's awesome. All right. I really worked so hard on it. And like I said, it's my whole, those 3 steps kind of like, bam, put into one spot that you can all access it. All right. Have an amazing night. I hope you all have beautiful sleep. Oh, Katie does have a question. Your 5-month-old used to sleep through the night, cluster feed up until 3 months old. Now gets up every 1 to 2 hours. So yeah, Katie, you got to figure out a lot of different things here. Number one, what's the best routine for your 5-month-old? Because as I just told you, your 5-month-old could be waking up at night just because, boy or girl, you didn't write, just because there's inconsistency during the day. So we got to get the routine set up, number one. Number two, we have to have a systemized method to teach your baby how to fall asleep and stay asleep on their own, but taking into account waking up a lot to nurse or waking up a lot for bottles. We can't suddenly go, sorry, you're 5 months old, we're going to give you 12 hours that you have to, sleep through the night. We'll have to gradually and incrementally space out the night feedings while getting their body acclimated to lasting longer. So this Rested Moms Club will definitely help you. If you end up signing up, Katie, and we have that one-on-one call, we will talk about the ideal routine and exactly where to start. And because your baby's 5 months, I'll tell you based on what's happening if you need to be in the 0 to 5 one or the 6 to 12, because in between it gets a little tricky because they are different. Each age bucket is different in the Rested Moms Club courses. But here's the link, restedmomsclub.com/join. I hope you all have an awesome night. Any more questions? That is that. Okay, I hope most of you could hear me. I know Katie said you could. I hope Jenny can. I hope Etsy at the end you can, and everyone else. All right. Have a great night. And I hope to see you all and help you all through the Rested Moms Club. Take care.